Hare Krishna, Prabhuji Sammatai, son of Ram, Sal Guru Shishila Prabhupada and Gurudev. Thank you very much for joining. So let us begin with Mangalacharana prayers. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Kacharine Nirvisesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhaktananda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So we are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto first Canto, entitled as Creation, Chapter 8. Chapter 8, that is the entitled Prayers by Queen Kunti and Parikshit Sale. So we are at 16th verse. Yeah, let us read. Okay, so begin with Matas. Please start, Matas. Hare Krishna. Matas, is it audible?
Yes, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yeah, you can start, Matas.
Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Translation. O Brahmanas, do not think this to be especially wonderful in the activities of the mysterious and infallible personality of Godhead. By his own transcendental energy, he creates, maintains, and annihilates all material things, although he himself is unborn. Purport. The activities of the Lord are always inconceivable to the tiny brain of the living entities. Nothing is impossible for the Supreme Lord, but all his actions are wonderful for us, and thus he is always beyond the range of our conceivable limits. The Lord is the all-powerful, all-perfect personality of Godhead. The Lord is 10% perfect, whereas others, namely Narayana, Brahma, Shiva, the demigods, and all other living beings, possess only different percentages of such perfection. No one is equal to or greater than him. He is unrivaled. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mother. Deepa Mata, you want to read? Unable to hear anyway. Yeah. Sandhya Mata, you want to?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Thus saved from the radiation of the Brahmastra, Kunti, the chaste devotee of the Lord, and her 5 sons, and Draupadi addressed to Lord Krishna as he started for home. Purport. Kunti is described herein as Sati and chaste due to her unalloyed devotion to Lord Sri Krishna. Her mind will now be expressed in the following prayers for Lord Krishna. A chaste devotee of the Lord does not look to others, namely any other living being or demigod, even for deliverance from danger. That was all along the characteristics of the whole family of the Pandavas. They knew nothing except Krishna, and therefore the Lord was always ready to help them in all respects and in all circumstances. That is the transcendental nature of the Lord. He reciprocates the dependence of the devotee. One should not therefore look for help from imperfect living beings or demigods, but one should look for all help from Lord Krishna, who is competent to save his devotees. Such a chaste devotee also never asks the Lord for help, but the Lord, out of his own accord, is always anxious to render it.
Thank you. Chandramani Prabhu, please do.
Hare Krishna. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Srimati Kunti said, "O Krishna, I offer my obeisances unto you because you are the original personality and are unaffected by the qualities of the material world. You are existing both within and without everything, yet you are invisible to all." Srimati Kunti Devi was quite aware that Krishna is the original personality of Godhead, although he was playing the part of her nephew. Such an enlightened lady could not commit a mistake by offering obeisances unto her nephew. Therefore, she addressed him as the original Purusha beyond the material cosmos. Although all living entities are transcendental, they are neither original nor infallible. The living entities are apt to fall down under the clutches of material nature, but the Lord is never like that. In the Vedas, therefore, he is described as the chief among all the entities. Then Nityanam, Chetanas Chetananam. Then again, he is addressed as Ishvara or the controller. The living entities are the demigods like Chandra and Surya, are also some extent Ishvara, but none of them is the supreme Ishvara or the ultimate controller. He is the Parameswara or the supreme soul. He is both within and without. Although he was present before Srimati Kunti as her nephew, he was also within her and everyone else. In the Bhagavad Gita, 15th chapter, 15th sloka, the Lord says, I am situated in everyone's heart, and only due to me, one remembers, forgets, and is cognizant, etc. Though all the Vedas, I am to be known because I am the compiler of the Vedas and I am the teacher of the Vedas, Vedanta. Queen Kunti affirms that the Lord, although both within and without all living beings, is still invisible. The Lord is so speak to a puzzle for the common man. Queen Kunti experienced personally that Lord Krishna was present before her, yet he entered within the womb of the Uttara to save her embryo from the attack of Aswatthama's Brahmastra. Kunti herself was puzzled about whether Sri Krishna is all pervasive or localized. In fact, he is both, but he reserves the right of not being exposed to persons who are not surrendered souls. The second curtain is called the Maya energy of the Supreme Lord, and it controls the limited version of the rebellious soul. It is explained as follows. Hare Krishna.
Hare
Krishna Prabhuji, can you hear me now?
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
No, I'm able to. Yes, you can read, Mother.
Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Being beyond the range of limited sense perception, you are the eternally irreproachable factor covered by the curtain of deluding energy. You are invisible to the foolish observer, exactly as an actor dressed as a player is not recognized. Purport. In the Bhagavad Gita, Lord Sri Krishna affirms that less intelligent persons mistake him to be an ordinary man like us, and thus they deride him. The same is confirmed herein by Queen Kunti. The less intelligent persons are those who rebel against the authority of the Lord. Such persons are known as Asuras. The Asuras cannot recognize the Lord's authority. When the Lord himself appears amongst us as Rama, Narsimha, Varaha, or in his original form as Krishna, he performs many wonderful acts which are humanly impossible. As we shall find in the 10th canto of the state literature, Lord Sri Krishna exhibited his humanly impossible activities even from the days of his lying on the lap of his mother. He killed the Putana witch. Although she smeared her breast with poison just to kill the Lord sucked her breast like a natural baby, and he sucked out her very life also. Similarly, he lifted the Govardhana hill just as a boy picks up a frog's umbrella, and stood several days continuously just to give protection to the residents of Vrindavana. These are some of the superhuman activities of the Lord described in the authoritative Vedic literature like the Puranas, Itihasas, and Upanishads. He has delivered wonderful instructions in the shape of Bhagavad Gita. He has shown marvelous capacities as a hero, as a householder, as a teacher, and as a renouncer. He is accepted as the Supreme Personality of Godhead by such authoritative personalities as Vyasa, Devala, Asita, Narada, Madhva, Shankara, Ramanuja, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Jiva Goswami, Vishwanath Chakravarti, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, and all other authorities of the line. He himself has declared as much in many places of the authentic literatures, and yet there is a class of men with demoniac mentality who are always reluctant to accept the Lord as a supreme absolute truth. This is partially due to their poor fund of knowledge and partially due to their stubborn obstinacy, which results from various misdeeds in the past and present. Such persons should not recognize Lord Sri Krishna even when he could not recognize Lord Sri Krishna even when he was present before them. Another difficulty is that those who depend more on their imperfect senses cannot realize him as the Supreme Lord. Such persons are like the modern scientists. They want to know everything by their experimental knowledge, but it is not possible to know the Supreme Person by imperfect experimental knowledge. He is described herein as Adhokshaja, or beyond the range of experimental knowledge. All our senses are imperfect. We claim to observe everything and anything, but we must admit that we can observe things under certain material conditions only, which are also beyond our control. The Lord is beyond the observation of sense perception. Queen Kunti accepts this deficiency of the conditioned soul, especially of the woman class who are less intelligent. For less intelligent men, there must be such things as temples, mosques, or churches, so that they may begin to recognize the authority of the Lord and hear about him from authorities in such holy places. For less intelligent men, this beginning of spiritual life is essential, and only foolish men decry the establishment of such places of worship, which are required to raise the standards of spiritual attributes for the mass of people. For less intelligent persons, bowing down before the authority of the Lord, as generally done in the temples, mosques, or churches, is as beneficial as it is for the advanced devotees to meditate upon him by active service. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Yeah. Aryan Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, shall I read?
Yeah.
After that, Aryan will lead, Prabhuji. Translation. You yourself designed to propagate the transcendental science of devotional service unto the hearts of the advanced transcendentalists and mental speculators, who are purified by being able to discriminate between matter and spirit. How then can we, women, know you perfectly? Purport. Even the greatest philosophical speculators cannot have access to the region of the Lord. It is said in the Upanishads that the supreme truth, the absolute personality of Godhead, is beyond the range of the thinking power of the greatest philosopher. He is unknowably by great learning or by the greatest brain. He is knowable only by one who has his mercy. Others may go on thinking about him for years together, yet he is unknowable. This is very fact is corroborated by the queen, who is playing the part of an innocent woman. Women in general are unable to speculate like philosophers, but they are blessed by the Lord because they believe at once in the superiority and almightiness of the Lord, and thus they offer obeisances without reservation. The Lord is so kind that he does not show special favor only to one who is a great philosopher. He knows the sincerity of purpose. For this reason, only women generally assembles in great number in any sort of religious functions. In every country and in every sects of religion, it appears that the women are more interested than the men. The simplicity of acceptance of the Lord's authority is more effective than insincere religious favor.
Sincere religious. Yeah. Thank you. Aryan Prabhu. Yeah. Read this sloka.
Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaya cha Nanda Gopa Kumaraya Govindaya Namo Namah. Translation. Let me therefore offer my respectful obeisances unto the Lord, who has become the son of Vasudeva, the pleasure of Devaki, the boy of Nanda and the other cowherd men of Vrindavana, and the enlivener of the cows and the senses. Purport. The Lord, being thus unapproachable by any material assets, out of unbound and causeless mercy, descends to the earth as he is, in order to show his special mercy upon his unalloyed devotees and to diminish the upsurge of the demoniac persons. Queen Kunti specifically adores the incarnation or descent of Lord Krishna above all other incarnations because in this particular incarnation he is more approachable. In the Rama incarnation, he's remained a king's son from his very childhood. But in the incarnation of Krishna, although he was the son of a king, he at once left the shelter of his real father and mother, King Vasudeva and Queen Devaki, just after his appearance and went to the lap of Yashoda Mai to play the part of an ordinary coward boy in the blessed Vraja Bhumi, which is very sanctified because of his childhood pastimes. Therefore, Lord Krishna is more merciful than Lord Rama. He was undoubtedly very kind to Kunti's brother Vasudeva and the family. Had he not become the son of Vasudeva and Devaki, Queen Kunti could not calm him to be her nephew and thus address Krishna in parental affection. But Nanda and Yashoda are more fortunate because they could relish the Lord's childhood pastimes, which are more attractive than all other pastimes. Therefore, there is no parallel to his childhood pastimes as exhibited at Vrajabhumi, which are replicas of his eternal affairs in the original Krishna Loka. Described as the Chintamani Dhama in the Brahma Samhita, Lord Sri Krishna presented himself at Vrajabhumi with all his transcendental entourage and paraphernalia. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu therefore confirmed that no one is as fortunate as the residents of Vrajabhumi, and specifically the coward girls who dedicated their everything for the satisfaction of the Lord. His pastimes with Nanda and Yashoda and his pastimes with the coward men, and especially with the coward boys and the cows, have caused him to be known as Govinda. Lord Krishna as Govinda is more inclined to the Brahmanas and the cows, indicated thereby that human prosperity depends more on those two items, namely Brahmanical culture and cow protection. Lord Krishna is never satisfied where these are lacking. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Guru. Very, very important. Govinda is more inclined to the Brahmanas and the cows. Namo Brahmanyaya Devaya, Go Brahmanyaya Hidaya. Right? That is one verse we pray when we offer Bhoga to Lord, right? Namo, after Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's that prayer, Namo Mahavadanaya Krishna Prema Pradaya Krishna Krishna Chaitanyaya Namne Gaur Krishna. The next, Namo Brahmanyaya Devaya, Go Brahmanyaya Hidaya. So this is what it is. Indicating that thereby that human prosperity depends more on these two items, namely Brahmanical culture and cow protection. Lord Krishna is never satisfied where these are lacking. Yeah. Raju Prabhu, please read this sloka also.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Namah Pankaja Nabhaya, Namah Pankaja Malini, Namah Pankaja Netraya, Namaste Pankajangriya. Translation: My respectable obeisances are unto you, O Lord. Those abutment is marked with the depression like a lotus flower, who are always decorated with garlands of lotus flowers, whose glance is as cool as the lotus, and whose feet are the engraved with lotus purport. Lotus is purport. Here are the some of the specific symbolical marks on the spiritual body of the personality of Godhead, which distinguish his body from his bodies of all others. They are all special features of the body of the Lord. The Lord may appear as one of us, but he is always distinguished by specific bodily features. Srimati Kunti claims herself unfit to see the Lord because of her being as a woman. This is claimed because women, Shudras, the labor classes, and the Dvijabandhus are the wretched descendants with higher three classes are unfit by intelligence to understand the transcendental subject matter concerning the spiritual name, fame, attributes, forms, etc. of the Supreme Absolute Truth. Such persons, although they are unfit to enter into the spiritual affairs of the Lord, can see him as the Archa Vigraha, who descended to the material world just to distribute the flavors to the fallen souls, including the above mentioned women, Sudras and Dvijabandhus. The innumerable universes as the Garbhodakashaya Vishnu, who grows as a lotus stem from the lotus-like depression in the center of his transcendental abdomen. Thus Brahma, first living being in the universe, is born. Therefore, the Lord is known as the Pankajanabi. The Pankajanabi Lord accepts the Archavigra, is transcendental form in different elementaries, namely in the form with the mind, within the mind, a form made of wood, a form made of earth, a form made of metal, a form made of jewel, a form made of a paint, a form drawn on a sand, etc. All such forms of the Lord are always decorated with the garlands of lotus flowers, and there should be a smoothing. There should be a soothing atmosphere in the temple of worship to attract the burning attention of the non-devotees always engaged in the material wranglings. The meditators worship from a form within the mind. Therefore, the Lord is merciful even to the women, Shudras and Dijabandhus, provided they agree to visit the temple of worship in different forms made for them. Such temple visitors are not idolaters, are alleged by some men with a pure fund of knowledge. All the great acharyas established such temples of worship in all places just to favor the less intelligent, and one should not pose himself as transcending the stage of the temple worship while one is actually in the category of Shudras and the women are less. One should begin to see the Lord from his lotus feet, gradually rising to the thick waist and chest and face. One should not try to look at the face of the Lord without being the accustomed to seeing the lotus feet of the Lord. Srimati Kunti, because of other being the aunt of the Lord, did not begin to see the Lord from the lotus feet because the Lord might feel ashamed. And thus Kunti Devi, just to save a painful situation for the Lord, began to see the Lord just above his lotus feet, from his waist of the Lord, gradually rising to the face, and then down to the lotus feet. In the round, everything, there is an order. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Hare Krishna. Thank you.
So we should not see direct face of Prabhuji. When you go to temple, we should not see direct face.
For Prabhu, sorry.
So when you go to temple, so we cannot see like a deity from directly face Prabhuji. We need to see from lotus feet. Huh?
That's a meditation, yes, Prabhu. From lotus feet, then waist, then his hands, like that. So Bhagavatam also described, right, to first two cantos like lotus feet, and then like that. Archa Vigraha form, we have to meditate from the lotus feet. Yes, Prabhu. First, when we go to the temple, we start with the lotus feet and up to lotus face of the Lord. Yeah, that's the way. Bhagavatam also, right? There are in Krishna's form described. The 10th canto is a Krishna's beautiful smiling face, right? So like that. That's a meditation, Prabhu. That's recommended to start with the lotus feet of the Lord. Okay. Yeah. Clear?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yeah. Right. So we'll read this one. Let me read this one. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. O Rishikesha, Master of the senses and Lord of Lords, you have released your mother Devaki, who was long imprisoned and distressed by the envious King Kamsa, and me and my children from a series of constant dangers. So this is Kunti Maharani prayer. So purport. Devaki, the mother of Krishna and the sister of King Kamsa, was put into prison along with her husband Vasudeva, because the envious king was afraid of being killed by Devaki's 8th son, Krishna. He killed all the sons of Devaki who were born before Krishna, but Krishna escaped the danger of child slaughter because he was transferred to the house of Nanda Maharaja, Lord Krishna's foster father. Kunti Devi, along with her children, was also saved from a series of dangers, but Kunti Devi was shown far more favor because Lord Krishna did not save the other children of Devaki, whereas he saved the children of Kunti Devi. This was done because Devaki's husband Vasudeva was living, whereas Kunti Devi was a widow and there was none to help her except Krishna. The conclusion is that Krishna endows more favor to a devotee who is in greater dangers. Sometimes he puts his pure devotees in such dangers because in that condition of helplessness, the devotee becomes more attached to the Lord. The more the attachment is there for the Lord, the more success is there for the devotee. I mean, the more dependency, complete dependency on the Lord, complete attachment, more success is there for the devotee. Right. So, Hare Krishna. We'll read with this one and we'll wrap up, Mataji. Okay. Please. Mataji, Samyukta Mata, you want to read?
Yes, Prabhuji. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. My dear Krishna, your lordship has protected us from a poisoned snake, poisoned cake, from a great fire, from cannibals, from the vicious assembly, from sufferings during our exile in the forest, and from the battle where great generals fought. And now you have saved us from the weapon of Ashwadhama. Purport. The list of dangerous encounters is submitted herein. Devaki was once put into difficulty by her envious brother. Otherwise, she was well. But Kunti Devi and her sons were put into one difficulty after another for years and years together. They were put into trouble by Duryodhana and his party due to the kingdom. And each and every time the sons of Kunti were saved by the Lord. Once Bhima was administered poison in a cake. Once they were put into the house made of shellac and set afire. And once Draupadi was dragged out and attempts were made to insult her by stripping her naked in the vicious assembly of the Kurus. The Lord saved Draupadi by supplying an immeasurable length of cloth and Duryodhana's party failed to see her naked. Similarly, when they were exiled in the forest, Bhima had to fight with the man-eater demon Hidimba Rakshasa, but the Lord saved him. So it was not finished there. After all these tribulations, there was a great battle of Kurukshetra, and Arjuna had to meet such great generals as Drona, Bhishma, and Karna, all powerful fighters. And at last, even when everything was done away with, there was the Brahmastra released by the son of Dronacharya to kill the child within the womb of Uttara. And so the Lord saved the only surviving descendant of the Kurus, Maharaja Parikshit. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Yes, Mataji. Thank you. Yeah. Yeah, thank you very much for reading Prabhuji's and Mataji's. Hare Krishna. So let us go through with our sloka practice. Okay, so let me show. Anybody helps here to recite and will repeat after you.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Shirisha wants to do.
Yeah.
Hare Krishna, Bhagavad Gita 13.22. Purusha prakritisto hi
Purusha prakrito hi
bhunte prakritijan gunan karanam guna sangosya tad asatyo nijanmasu. Purusha prakritisto hi bhunte prakritijan gunan
Purusha prakrito
Karanam guna sangosya sat asatyo nijanmasu. Purusha prakritisto hi bhunte prakritijan gunan karanam guna sangosya sat asatyo nijanmasu.
Purusha
Prakritisto hi bhute prakriti gunan
Kalam
guna
Sandosya
sandosya
Tatyoni
tatyoni
Janmasu.
Translation.
Yeah, you do translation. Yes.
The living entity in material nature
The living entity in
entity
nature.
in material nature
thus follows the ways of life,
thus
thus
follows the
follows
ways
the
of
ways
life,
of life,
enjoying the three modes of nature.
enjoying the
the
three modes of nature.
This is due to
This
This
is
is
due
due
Is
to
due-
his association with material nature.
is
his
associated
association with the material nature.
Thus, he meets
Thus he means
Thus he meets
with good and evil among various species.
with good
and
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 evil
evil
among
among
various
various
species.
species.
Bhagavad Gita 13.23. Upadrishtanumanta cha
Upadrishta
Drishanumanta cha
Bharta
Bhakta
Bhukta
Bhakta Maheshwara. Voice
Param.
not clear.
Paramatmeti chapyukto
Paramatmeti Chapyukta
Dehesmin purusha para.
Dehi asmin purusha paraha.
Upadrashtanumanta cha bharta bhokta maheshwara.
Drishanumanta cha bharta bhukta maheshwara.
Dehesmin purusha para.
Atmeti chapi yukto dehi asmin purusha paraha.
Drashtanumanta cha bharta bhokta maheshwara. Paramatmeti chapyukto dehesmin purusha para.
Drishanumanta cha bharta bhukta maheshwara. Atmeti chapi yukto dehi asmin purusha paraha.
Translation. Yet in this body there is another,
Yet in this body there is another,
a transcendental enjoyer,
a
Transcendental
who is
enjoyer
the Lord,
who is the Lord,
is the Lord,
the supreme proprietor,
the supreme provider,
who exists as the overseer
who exists as the overseer
and permitter,
and permitter,
and who is known as the super soul.
and who is known as the super soul.
Whenever somebody asks Raji Prabhu, oh, who is super soul? You have to say that verse.
Bhagavad Gita 14.26. Mam sayo vyabicharena
Mam chayo abhyabhicarena
bhakti yogena sevate.
Bhakti
yogena sevate
Patityaitan
Sagunam
Sagunam
Tam
Somehow my
Brahma Bhuya
Bhuya kalpate.
Mam chayo vyabicharena bhakti yogena sevate.
Mam chayo
Yogi
abhyabhicarena bhakti yogena sevate.
Kalpate.
Sagunan sampikaitan Brahma Bhuya kalpate.
Mam chayo vyabicharena bhakti yogena sevate.
break I don't know. Mother, break Mother, I don't know. Yeah, change.
Mam chayo vyabicharena bhakti yogena sevate. Sagunan samatityaitan brahma bhuyaya kalpate.
Mam chayo abhyabhicarena bhakti yogena sevate. Sagunan sampikaitan
Brahma
Bhuya
Kalpate.
Translation. One who engages in full devotional service,
One
Who engages
One who engages in full devotional service,
unfailing in all circumstances,
unfailing in all circumstances,
it once
once
transcends the modes of material nature
transcends the mode of material nature
and thus
And thus
And thus
come to the level of Brahman.
comes to
Come
the
to the
level of
Brahman.
Comes to the level of Brahman. Sorry.
come to the level of the Brahman.
Bhagavad Gita 15.7. Mamaivam jivaloke jiva bhuta sanatana
Jiva Bhuta Sanatana Manashastrani
Briyani
prakriti karshati.
Prakritishtani
Karshati.
Mamaivam jivaloke jiva bhuta sanatana
Mamso Jiva Loke Jiva Bhuta Sanatana.
Manasasthranindriyani prakriti karshati.
Manasasthani Indriyani Praktisthani Karshati.
Tamaivam jivaloke jivabhuta sanatana manastasthranindriyani prakriti karshati.
Mamso Jiva Loke Manasasthani Praktisthani Karshati.
మాధవి శస్త్ర కాదు మాధవి శస్తాని శస్త అంటే 6 అన్నమాట శస్తాని నాట్ శస్త్ర వేరు మళ్ళీ అది వేరే అర్థం అవుతుంది శస్తాని ఇంద్రియాణి ఓకే థ్యాంక్ యూ మాధవి ఎస్
Prabhuji, Sasthani or Sasthani? Because under T also there is a Tha. Sthani.
శస్తాని షష్టి ఓకే షష్టాని ఇంద్రియాణి ఎస్ యా యు ఆర్ రైట్ షష్టాని
Shasthani is correct. Shasthani.
ఎస్టీ కింద 2 డాట్స్ ఉన్నాయి కదా ఇంకా అది షష్టాని
ప్లస్ పక్కనే H కూడా ఉంది. Shasthani.
Translation. The living entities in the conditioned world
The living entities in the conditioned world
are my eternal fragmental parts.
are my eternal fragmental parts.
Due to conditioned life,
Due to conditioned life,
they are struggling very hard
they are struggling very hard
Struggling very hard.
with the 6 senses,
with the six senses,
which include the mind.
which
includes the mind.
Bhagavad Gita 15.15. Sarvasya chaham hriti sannivishto
Sarvasya
Sachaham Hyuti Sanivishto
matta smriti jnanam apohanam cha
Matta
Smritir Jnanam Apohanam
vedascha sarvairahyo
Vedita Eva Vedyo
vedanta kritveda videva chaham
Vedanta Vidveda
sannivishto matta smriti jnanam apohanam cha वेदैश्च सर्वैर् अहमेव वेद्यो वेदांत कृद्वेद विदेव सर्वस्य चाहं हृदि सन्निविष्टो मत्तः स्मृतिर्ज्ञानमपोहनं च वेदैश्च सर्वैरहमेव वेद्यो वेदान्तकृत्वेद विदेव चाहम्
Translation. I am seated in everyone's heart,
I am seated in everyone's heart,
and from me come remembrance,
And from me,
from remembrance,
knowledge and forgetfulness
knowledge and
forgetfulness,
by all the Vedas.
by all the
all the
Vedas.
Vedas,
I am to be known.
I am to be known.
Indeed,
Indeed,
I am the compiler of Vedanta,
I am the
compiler of Vedanta,
and I am Prabhuji,
And I am.
what is there now? I am.
The knower of
Knower
the
of the Vedas. You have to tell that.
Okay.
Kavalane hide it. Yeah. I am the knower of the Vedas.
And I am the knower of the Vedas.
Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you. I want to do today sloka and translation. Then Mata is provisions. Anybody? Okay. Let us do till another 14 minutes till 9 o'clock. Yeah. 13.22. Purusha prakritisto hi bhunte prakriti janman karanam guna sangasya sat asat yoni janmasu. Translation. The living entity in material nature thus follows the ways of life, enjoying the three modes of nature. This is due to his association with that material nature. Thus, he meets with good and evil among various species. 13.23. Upadrasthanu manta cha bharta bhokta maheshwaraha paramatmeti chapyukto dehesmin purushapara. Translation. Yet in this body there is another, a transcendental enjoyer, who is the Lord, the supreme proprietor, who exists as the overseer and permitter, and who is known as the super soul. 14.26. Mam Shiva Vicharena Bhakti Yogena Sevate Sagunan Samatityaitan Brahma Puyaya Kalpate. Translation. One who engages in full devotional service, unfailing in all circumstances, at once transcends the modes of material nature and thus comes to the level of Brahman. 15.7. Mamaivamsho Jivaloke Jiva Bhuta Sanatana Manna Shasthanindriyani Prakritistani Karshati. Translation. The living entities in this conditioned world are my eternal fragmental parts. Due to conditioned life, they are struggling very hard with the six senses, which include the mind. 15.15. Sarvasya chaham Hridisannivishto Matta Srutirjnanam Apohanam cha Vedaisha Sarvair Ahameva Vedyo Vedanta Krit Vedavid Eva Chaham. Translation. I am seated in everyone's heart, and from me come remembrance, knowledge, and forgetfulness. By all the ways I am to be known. Indeed, I am the compiler of the Vedanta, and I am the knower of the Vedas. Hare Krishna. Yeah. Mother, is anybody likes to do? Please do it. We all here.
I will do, Prabhuji.
Yeah, change. Yes.
Bhagavad Gita 13.22. Purushah prakritisto hi bhunte prakriti jan gunan karanam guna sangosya sat asat yoni janmasu. Translation. The living entity in material nature thus follows the ways of life, enjoying the three modes of nature. This is due to his association with that material nature. Thus he meets with good and evil among various species. Bhagavad Gita 13.23. Upadrasthanu cha bharta bhokta maheshwara paramatmeti chapyukto dehesmin purushah para. Translation. Yet in this body there is another, a transcendental enjoyer, who is the Lord, the supreme proprietor, who exists as the overseer and permitter, and who is known as the super soul. Bhagavad Gita 14.26. Mam chayo vyabicharena bhakti yogena sevate sagunan samatityaitan brahma bhuyaya kalpate. Translation. One who engages in full devotional service, unfailing in all circumstances, at once transcends the modes of material nature and thus comes to the level of Brahman. Bhagavad Gita 15.7. Mamaivamsho jivaloke jiva bhuta sanatana Manasyasthani indriyani prakritisthani karshati. Translation. The living entities in this conditioned world are my eternal fragmental parts. Due to conditioned life, they are struggling very hard with the six senses, which include the mind. Bhagavad Gita 15.15. Sarvaischa chaham hridi sannivishto matta smritirgnanam apohanam cha Vedaischa sarvairahameva vedyo Vedanta kridveda vid eva chaham. Translation. I am seated in everyone's heart, and from me come remembrance, knowledge, and forgetfulness. By all the Vedas, I am to be known. Indeed, I am the compiler of Vedanta and I am the knower of the Vedas. Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you. So, Sonika Mataji. Mother, anybody likes to?
I'll do, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Chain.
Mataji, చేస్తారా మాతాజీ మీరు దీప మాతాజీ? You want to do, Mataji?
చేయండి ప్రభుజీ, దాని తర్వాత టైం ఉంటే చేస్తా, పర్లేదు.
Okay, thank you. Bhagavad Gita 13.22. Purisha prakrutisto hi bhunkte prakriti jan gunan karanam guna sangosya sat asad yoni janmasu. Translation: the living entity in material nature thus follows the ways of life, enjoying three modes of nature. This is due to his association with the material nature. Thus, he meets with good and evil among various species. Bhagavad Gita 13.23. Upadushta Anumanta cha Bharta Bhokta Maheshwara Paramatmeti Chapyukto Desmin Purushat Para. Translation: in this body, there is another, a transcendental enjoyer, who is the Lord, the supreme proprietor, who exists as the overseer and permitter, and who is known as the super soul. Bhagavad Gita 14.26. Bham chayo vyabhacharena bhakti yogena sevate sagunan samatityayan brahma bhuyaya kalpate. Translation: one who engages in full devotional service, unfailing in all circumstances, at once transcends the modes of material nature and thus come to the level of Brahman. So Prabhuji, here what is the meaning, Prabhuji? If one while doing the devotional service, if you fail, so that is the meaning, Prabhuji? What is the meaning here?
One who engages in full devotion service, complete engagement in devotion service, unfailing in all circumstances. Unfailing means no. See, always.
Okay.
In any situation, we have to practice devotional life.
So why will come to the Brahman, Prabhuji? Will come,
No, Brahman is a broad meaning, Prabhu. The level of Brahman means another big topic actually. Brahman means
It comes
Brahman,
to self-realization, Prabhu. Level of Brahman means level of self-realization, as far as I think.
Okay.
You are on the comes to the level of Brahman means you are devotee, you become devotee, Prabhu. Transcend the modes of religion. And comes to the level of Brahman. Right. So Brahman is big meaning actually. So many meanings like Brahman. Brahman means Brahman, Krishna's another name Brahman. Brahma Jyoti platform. Different meanings there. So for now, Mataji.
Moksham anedi is also means one who transcends the modes of material nature. That is actually liberation. So that is the first stage. Until once you have already transcended the modes of liberation. So different paths also lead to the same thing, but engaging in full devotional service, automatically you transcend the modes of material nature and you have reached the Brahman platform. You don't have to follow a very great strenuous path. You just practice devotional service, don't fail in any aspect, and then you are already crossing that level. You are liberated, and from there you can actually practice the pure devotional service.
Simple way, when you take beads, that means you are acting on the Shuddha Sattva platform. We are already transcending. Of course, this body is there, mind is there, but the platform itself is the beyond the three modes. Bhakti Yoga, devotional service, Shuddha Sattva platform. At once when we take feedback and chanting, of course, attentiveness, focus is needed. But the platform itself is beyond the three modes. Bhakti Yoga. Okay?
Okay. Bhagavad Gita 15.7. Mamaivamsho jivaloke jiva bhuta sanatana manashashtani indriyani prakristani karshati. Translation: the living entities in this conditioned world are my eternal fragmental parts. Due to conditioned life, they are struggling very hard with the six senses, which include the mind.
Six senses which include, anybody says, what are, of course, six including mind. What are the five other senses? Quickly. We are
Tongue,
ready.
Eyes,
Tongue.
ears, nose,
Hmm.
tongue, touch, skin.
Knowledge acquiring senses.
Bhagavad Gita 15.15. Sarvasya chaham hridhi sannivishto matta smritirjnanamapohanam cha vedesha sarver ahameha vedyo vedanta krit veda vid eva chaham. Translation: I am seated in everyone's heart, and from me come remembrance, knowledge, and forgetfulness. By all the Vedas, I am to be known. Indeed, I am the compiler of Vedanta, and I am the knower of Vedas. Knower of
And I'm,
Vedas.
yes. Right. See, one thing I want to share here. So, with the six senses, which include the mind, they are struggling very hard with six senses, which include the mind. The problem is, how we use this knowledge acquiring senses, whether we use it for material sense gratification or spiritual, using proper way. So if we use materialistic way of life, using those knowledge acquiring senses in material sense gratification, then that is a problem. That is the struggle for material existence, struggle for existence in this material nature. But when we use these knowledge acquiring senses for the pleasure of the Lord, which includes the mind, thinking about Lord and doing activities, seeing, right? What are knowledge acquiring senses? Raju Prabhu, Cheppandi, what are the knowledge acquiring senses?
Eyes, nose, tongue, Prabhuji. Tongue,
With
skin,
eyes, we are seeing. With nose, we are smelling.
smelling.
With tongue, we are
Tongue,
tasting.
eating.
Ears, we are hearing. With the sense of touch.
Skin.
So these are the things, right? So these activities now with knowledge acquiring senses, if we use it for Krishna, very nice. The problem is this is the problem. Condition. How are we using is a matter. Yes. Just want to share. Yeah. With Mata Deepamadi, you want to do? We'll with you, we'll wrap up.
Okay, Prabhu.
Want to do?
13.22. Purusha prakristho hi bhunte prakritijan gunan karanam guna sangosya sad asadyo nijanmasu. Translation: the living entity in material nature thus follows the ways of life, enjoying the three modes of nature. This is due to his association with that material nature. Thus, he meets with good and evil among various species.
Yeah. How we associate with modes, that is important.
13.23. Upadrashtanumanta cha bharta bhokta maheshwara paramatmeti chapyukto dehesmin purusha para. Yet in this body there is another, a transcendental enjoyer, who is the Lord, the supreme proprietor, who exists as the overseer and permitter, and who is known as the super soul. 14.26. Mam chayo vyabhicharena bhakti yogena sevate sagunan samatityetan brahma bhuyaya kalpate. Translation: one who engages in full devotional service, unfailing in all circumstances, at once transcends the modes of material nature and thus comes to the level of Brahman. 15.7. Mamaivamso jivaloke jivabhuta sanatana manashashtani indriyani prakritisthani karshati. Translation: the living entities in this conditioned world are my eternal fragmental parts. Due to conditioned life, they are struggling very hard with the six senses, which include the mind. 15.15. Sarvasya chaham hriti sannivishto matta smritirjnanamapohanam cha vedaischa sarvairahameva vedyo vedanta krit vedavid eva chaham. Translation: I am seated in everyone's heart, and from me come remembrance, knowledge, and forgetfulness. By all the Vedas, I am to be known. Indeed, I am the compiler of Vedanta, and I am the knower of the Vedas.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much for all of you for reciting and participating. Next week, our complete week, let us practice all these 4 verses. 1854 starts with Brahma Bhuta Prasannatma. 1855 Bhaktya Mam Abhijanati. 1865 Manmana Bhava Madbhakto. 1866 Sarvadharman Parityajya. So next week we'll do all these 4. All later week, let us do all the verses. Okay. Thank you so much. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhyo cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaः. Ananta Koti Vaishnavvrinda ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai. Nitai Gaur Hari Prem Nande Hari Hari. Thank God it's Friday. TGIF it's called. Corporate world it's called TGIF. Thank God it's Friday. అంటే సాటర్డే సండే హాలిడేస్ వస్తుంది. మెటీరియలిస్టిక్ వే వాళ్ళకి ఎప్పుడు రా ఫ్రైడే వస్తుందని చూస్తారు. మనం డివోటీస్ ఎప్పుడు ఫ్రైడే వస్తుంది. సాటర్డే సండే సేవల కోసం, భక్తి కోసం, డివోటీ అసోసియేషన్ కోసం. సో థ్యాంక్ గాడ్ ఇట్స్ కృష్ణ కాన్షియస్ ఫ్రైడే. హరి బోల్. ఓకే,
Prabhuji, you are not going for Kartik Yatra, Prabhuji?
పోవట్లేదు మాతో. ఎందుకంటే నాదన్నీ క్వశ్చన్ మార్క్ ఉంది.
అదే.
ఆల్రెడీ టూ టైమ్స్ మీరు వస్తున్నారా ఏమి?
నేను వస్తున్నాను ఈసారి సర్ప్రైజింగ్లీ. నాకు పర్మిషన్ దొరికింది.
వండర్ఫుల్ మాతో. ఇంకేం మీ పిల్లల్ని తీసుకొని రండి. మీ పిల్లల్ని తీసుకొని రండి. రాధేశ్యాం ప్రభు
పాపకి అడ్మిషన్ వచ్చేసింది UK లో. సో
ఎక్కడ మాట్లాడి?
లండన్.
హరి బోల్. మీరు వెళ్ళి డ్రాప్ చేసి వచ్చేటప్పుడు అక్కడ ఇస్కాన్ టెంపుల్ లో కనెక్ట్ చేయండి మాతాజీ.
అక్కడ కనెక్ట్ అవుతాను, ఎందుకంటే భాగవతం టీచర్ ట్రైనింగ్ కోర్స్ కూడా చేస్తున్నాను. సో దాంట్లో అన్ని ప్లేసెస్ నుంచి ఉన్నారు, లండన్ నుంచి కూడా ఉన్నారు. సో ఐ విల్ కనెక్ట్ విత్ దెమ్ అండ్ ఐ విల్ విజిట్ ఇస్కాన్, ఎందుకంటే అక్కడ 20-25 days ఉంటున్నాను నేను. సో ఐ విల్ కనెక్ట్ విత్ దెమ్ అండ్ దట్ ఈస్ ఇన్ సెప్టెంబర్ అండ్ అక్టోబర్. అండ్ వచ్చాక October 10th కి వచ్చేస్తాము, 10th 11th ఆ టైంకి. హస్బెండ్ లేదు ప్రభుజీ, నేను పిల్లలు వెళ్తున్నాము. యా, హీ కెనాట్ ట్రావెల్ యాక్చువల్లీ. ఫ్లైట్ ఫోబియా, హైట్ ఫోబియా, క్లాస్ట్రోఫోబియా అన్ని ఉన్నాయి, అది ప్రాబ్లం. సో యా, సో వచ్చాక దెన్ ఐ గాట్ పర్మిషన్ బికాస్ మై డాటర్ ఇది డ్రాపింగ్ అంతా అయిపోతుంది. అండ్ బట్ మై సన్ విల్ నాట్ బి ఏబుల్ టు మిస్ ద స్కూల్ బికాస్ హీ ఈస్ ఇన్ 10th రైట్ నౌ. అప్పుడంటే దసరా వెకేషన్స్ కవర్ అయిపోతున్నాయి, బట్ లేటర్ హీ విల్ నాట్ బి ఏబుల్ టు మిస్. సో ఐ విల్ కమ్ అలోన్.
సో ఏం తీసుకుంది మాతాజీ? ఇది గ్రాడ్యుయేషన్ పోస్ట్ గ్రాడ్యుయేషన్?
గ్రాడ్యుయేషన్ ప్రభుజీ. ఫ్యాషన్ స్టైలింగ్ అండ్ క్రియేటివ్ డైరెక్షన్ తీసుకుంది.
స్టైలింగ్ అండ్
క్రియేటివ్ డైరెక్షన్.
ఫ్యాషన్
స్టైలింగ్, యా.
ఓకే, ఫ్యాషన్ స్టైలింగ్ అండ్ క్రియేటివ్ డిజైనింగ్.
క్రియేటివ్ డైరెక్షన్.
సో వాట్ షీ వాంటెడ్ టు డు, అంటే ఏం చేద్దాం అంటే ఫ్యాషన్ డిజైనర్ అయితే?
లేదు, ఫ్యాషన్ డిజైనర్ ఇస్ డిఫరెంట్. ఫ్యాషన్ స్టైలింగ్ మీన్స్ ఇట్ విల్ బి మోర్ అబౌట్ లైక్ ఇఫ్ సపోజ్ దెర్ ఇస్ ఈ ఫ్యాషన్ మ్యాగజైన్స్ ఉంటాయి, దాని కవర్ పేజెస్ మీద యూ విల్ సీ ఇమేజెస్, నో దీస్ పీపుల్ ఆర్ సిట్టింగ్, దే ఆర్ posing in a certain way, they have a certain background. So creative direction means creating that storyboard, how exactly something should be done. Fashion styling means how they should be dressed for what occasion, what should be the mix and match. Avani, this is a very small aspect. There is a lot more to be covered. It will have fashion photography and everything included. So she is a student of fashion, and actually originally she started with music production gurinchi search cheyadam start chesindi, but she felt music production can be done even through online courses. So ante ala chesiyachchu, but fashion is something you need to go to a university and learn kabatti she joined that.
వండర్ఫుల్ మాతాజీ. ఒకసారి తీసుకురండి, ఈ కాల్ తీసుకురండి. లెట్ us wish her. Okay,
sure Prabhuji.
వండర్ఫుల్. థ్యాంక్స్ ఫర్ షేరింగ్ మాతాజీ. సో
thank you Prabhuji.
వెరీ నైస్. వాళ్ళ ఇంట్రెస్ట్ అంతే మాతాజీ. సో పిల్లల వాళ్ళ ఇంట్రెస్ట్ ఏది ఇంట్రెస్ట్ వాళ్ళని ఆ రకంగా మనం చేస్తాం.
అంతే Prabhuji.
They excel in their interests.
అంతే Prabhuji.